Hello, this is Max. A girl, in connection with quarantine, goes to a countryside house while working for clients where she constantly feels like someone is following her. You can subscribe to the channel after watching. It helps us a lot in realizing the content. Tom watches a reality TV show called Trap Stars alone in his apartment. Bored, he sifts through old photos of his ex-girlfriend and becomes upset, throwing away a wig she once owned. Unexpectedly, someone rings his doorbell, and he meets Lauren, whom he connected with on a dating app. They share drinks, and things escalate quickly. However, as Tom waits for Lauren in the bathroom, he receives a mysterious call, hearing his own voice echoing from another room. He discovers an unsettling contact name on his phone and, fearing an intruder, grabs a knife. Suddenly, a masked man attacks him, choking him with a crowbar. While Tom faces a life-threatening situation, Lauren remains unaware, occupied with taking photos in the bathroom. When she finally leaves, she finds the masked assailant leaving and Tom's lifeless body on the floor. Elsewhere, Vicky waits for her friend Stacy to pick her up. Stacy, hungover, asks Vicky to drive and explains that she needs to quarantine due to her paranoid roommate's COVID concerns, worsened by Vicky being from New York. Stacy feels responsible for introducing Vicky to webcamming, which led to her boyfriend breaking up with her and kicking her out. Vicky reassures Stacy and decides to use her quarantine time to earn money through webcamming, with the goal of finding her own place. Upon arriving at Stacy's cabin, Vicky is given a list of contacts, including a young couple who are her only neighbors. Stacy leaves Vicky there for a week. That night, while watching Trap Stars with Paris Hilton as the host, the power goes out, and Vicky hears footsteps outside. Investigating, she finds the circuit breaker deliberately turned off. The next day, Vicky receives a request from her least favorite client, an enthusiastic role player. Despite her reservations, she agrees to create a special video for him. Afterward, she relaxes on the porch and falls asleep, only to be awakened by the TV turning on by itself. Unbeknownst to her, a masked man lurks nearby. Fortunately, Vicky goes back inside, narrowly avoiding an encounter. The following day, Vicky discovers that there's no Wi-Fi or electricity in the house and leaves a message for Stacy, expressing her frustration. When the doorbell rings, the handyman arrives to fix the cables, and Vicky is taken aback by his attractiveness. After restoring the Wi-Fi temporarily, he promises to return for a permanent fix. Vicky maintains professionalism despite the tension between them. Later, during a video call with a fan named Jazzy, Vicky discusses her return to her hometown due to the lack of electricity. She decorates the cabin with Christmas lights and jack-o'-lanterns, then returns to create a video for her client. Unexpectedly, a pizza delivery man arrives and asks to use Vicky's bathroom. He tells a disturbing story about the cabin's dark history, leaving Vicky uneasy. As he leaves, he encounters a blocked path and is attacked by the masked man. The next day, Vicky goes for a jog and encounters Sheriff Rogers and Deputy Wayne, who check on her as her relatives couldn't reach her. During their ride home, Wayne discusses recent killings by the crowbar killer nearby. Rogers tries to ease Vicky's fear, telling Wayne to stop scaring her. When they arrive back at the cabin, Vicky and Max notice that the door is open. Concerned, Sheriff Rogers advises them to stay in the car while she investigates. After a few minutes of waiting, Rogers suddenly screams, prompting Vicky and Wayne to rush inside. Inside, they are met by the masked person, who turns out to be Rogers herself. She laughs at their startled reaction and reassures Vicky that the house is secure. Rogers attributes the open door to the wind, suggesting that the lock is old and prone to such occurrences. Later that night, Vicky gets on a call with Jazzy, who teaches her how to dance. They enjoy their time together, but Vicky receives a call from her obsessive client, leading her to bid farewell to Jazzy. During the call with her client, Vicky excuses herself to get dressed. When she returns, her client asks her to make another video without the mask so he can see her eyes when she tells him that she loves him. They discuss the cost of the video. Suddenly, the power goes out, prompting Vicky to check the circuit breaker. Upon her return to the cabin, she peeks through the window blinds and sees a man approaching rapidly. Terrified, she grabs a knife and calls Sheriff Rogers, reporting that there is someone outside her house. However, Rogers informs her that it will take her 30 minutes to arrive, advising Vicky to hide in the meantime. As Vicky waits anxiously, a man taps her on the shoulder, causing her to accidentally hurt his face. She demands to know who he is, and he identifies himself as Max Daniels, the neighbor. Vicky quickly apologizes, and Max explains that he used to smoke with Stacy, prompting his visit when he realized someone was staying at the cabin. Max notices Vicky's revealing costume, leading her to cover herself up and head upstairs to get dressed. While Max waits in the living room, he notices Vicky's webcamming page, which has an incoming call notification. Vicky returns with a first aid kit to tend to Max's wound. Later, they watch Vicky's favorite reality show together. Max finds the show ridiculous, but Vicky is a fan. During their conversation, Vicky mentions seeing Max's kids when she arrived at the cabin with Stacy. Max reveals that his children are staying with his ex for the next 2 weeks since they broke up 6 months ago. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door, and it's Sheriff Rogers. Vicky apologizes for the earlier false alarm, but Rogers insists on looking around to be sure. Concerned about the officers discovering they're smoking, Vicky refuses, explaining that she has company. Wayne speculates about Vicky's relationship with Max, but she dismisses the idea. Before leaving, Sheriff Rogers instructs Vicky to pass along a message to Max about calling his family, who are worried about him. Max agrees and mentions that he needs to go home to feed his dog before giving Vicky a small hug and departing. The next day, while on an afternoon run, Vicky passes by Max's house. Intrigued, she hides in the bushes to watch him chop wood. Later that evening, Max invites Vicky to join him on a buddy ride, and she eagerly accepts. They eventually head to Max's house. Inside, Vicky notices a family photo with another man, and Max reveals it's his ex-wife's new boyfriend. He keeps the photo there for when his kids visit, wanting them to believe everything is okay. Vicky apologizes for prying and shares that her own boyfriend had recently broken up with her and kicked her out. As they continue to chat, Vicky makes a move to kiss Max, but he politely declines, saying he's not ready. Max eventually drives her back to the cabin and apologizes for the awkward situation. He assures her that he finds her very beautiful, and Vicky reciprocates by complimenting his looks. Upon returning to the cabin, Vicky is suddenly attacked by a man swinging a bat at her. She narrowly avoids being struck, grabs a knife, and flees into the woods. The man pursues her and she starts screaming, but he manages to calm her down, explaining that it was a misunderstanding. He introduces himself as Jake, Stacy's cousin and a truck driver who occasionally stays at the cabin when working up the coast. Despite initial doubt, Vicky comes to accept his explanation, and Jake returns to the cabin. Later that night, Vicky apologizes to Jake for the earlier incident, and he shows her a childhood photo of himself with Stacy as evidence. Then Vicky discovers a bag of something left by Stacy, and Jake explains their effects. They decide to consume it. While high, they bond romantically in the bathroom and watch the Max Recap YouTube channel before bed. The following morning, Vicky finds that Jake has left. As she searches for him, she discovers bloody footprints leading to the side of the house. There, she encounters the handyman who had come earlier to fix her circuit breaker. He explains the blood came from a dead deer he had to move. As he drives away, he realizes a police car is following him, only to discover it's not Sheriff Rogers. That night, during a call with Jazzy, Vicky becomes emotional hearing about his time with his wife. She feigns tiredness but is truly bothered by Jake's easy departure. Later, during a call with her client, who berates her for disloyalty, Vicky drops the call due to his disrespectful behavior. She decides to go for a walk to relax and encounters Max, who is digging a hole with a large bag in his truck. Terrified, Vicky runs and Max chases her. When he catches up, she screams, but Max calms her down. He explains that he was digging a grave for a dead deer he found on the road and asks if she can lend a hand, to which she agrees. As they continue digging, Max casually inquires about what Vicky did after their previous night together. She mentions spending time with Stacy's cousin, and Max responds nonchalantly. Vicky, however, remains suspicious of Max's explanation about the deer and discreetly attempts to open the bag containing the carcass. Suddenly, Max appears behind her, requesting his cigarettes, leaving Vicky flustered as she hands them to him. Max accidentally falls into a grave, injuring his ankle. He calls out to Vicky for assistance. After a moment of hesitation, she helps him out. They then proceed to Max's home for first aid. At his place, Vicky feels cold and asks to borrow a sweater. Max directs her upstairs to his ex's belongings. While searching, she stumbles upon a secret room with a laptop displaying her profile. She also finds a wedding invitation, revealing Max isn't the real homeowner. Vicky recognizes him as an overly attached client but acts nonchalant when he announces dinner. During dinner, Max reveals he's familiar with her online profile and criticizes her profession. As the meal progresses, Vicky feels disoriented and questions if Max tampered with her drink. Vicky awakens to find herself restrained to the bed. Max, revealing the depths of his obsession, shows her an engagement ring he bought based on a comment she made in passing. Recognizing an opportunity, Vicky convinces Max to free her so he can properly propose. She feigns joy at the engagement to gain his trust. Yet, Max remains suspicious. In an attempt to further gain his trust, Vicky gets close to him. During the retreat, she asks him to close his eyes to get a surprise. Seizing the moment, she strikes him with a nearby lamp, enabling her to flee. Blocked by a dog at the main exit, she retreats through the secret room. Inside, she uncovers horrifying evidence of Max's past victims, including items belonging to the neighborhood kids, a delivery boy, and a local worker. Suddenly, Max reappears, prompting Vicky to flee using his buddy. As she speeds off, the glare from oncoming headlights startles her, causing a crash. An approaching figure makes her scream in fear, but it's only Jake. Vicky hastily tells him of the looming danger, but Jake insists on facing Max himself. As Jake's truck lights shine, he urges Vicky to escape while he confronts Max. But Jake is quickly subdued by Max's crowbar. Desperate, Vicky takes refuge in a cabin and tries to contact Rogers. With no answer, she turns to Jazzy, relaying her location and urging him to alert the police. However, as Jazzy watches via webcam, Max bursts into the room. Despite Jazzy's threats, Max smashes the laptop into a filled bathtub, causing sparks to fly. While Vicky hides, Max rambles about his twisted love for her, confessing to murdering her ex. As he's distracted, she attempts to incapacitate him with a bottle but fails. As Max tries to strangle her in his rage, Jake re-enters, managing to wound Max. But Max's fury is unmatched, and he swiftly retaliates. He then attempts to electrocute Jake in the tub, but a revitalized Vicky intervenes, causing Max to meet a shocking end instead. But then, the narrative shifts. The camera pans out to show that this thrilling tale is merely a film being viewed by the Trap Stars contestants. They excitedly chat about the plot twist, particularly surprised by their own cameo appearances in the movie, and they all subscribe to the Max Recap channel. If you are interested in such films, please proceed to the next video on the screen, and also share your thoughts about this film in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.